Okay, this has been in clamps for about 2 hours, which is not enough for the glue to be cured, but they say you only need to clamp them for an hour or so, so hopefully I'm alright to take the clamps off and clean off the glue squeeze out. So, okay. And I will just square the ends, just take enough off to get rid of any step that's there, either because the pieces weren't both exactly the same length or because they slipped when I was clamping them. All right. Now, simply because I'm going to be driving a point directly into that glue joint, which from my tail center and my drive center, I want to reinforce that. So I'm going to put a screw across the joint at each end. Just drill a pilot hole. And that's just basically for insurance purposes. Just in case the glue joint wants to split before I want it to split. All right. All right, so now I need to find the center on each end. There's lots of different ways to do that. I happen to have a thing mounted on the wall that does a good job, so I guess I'll use it. You do want to get these, you do want to make sure that your center is right on the glue joint, because if it's not, the pieces won't be the same size. Basically, you'll be making one a little bigger than the other. So even if those lines, if the intersection of these lines I made, if it doesn't fall exactly on the glue joint, I'll come straight over from the intersection to the glue joint and make my dimple so that my dimple is right on the glue joint. And it probably wouldn't hurt to actually even, in order to reduce the wedging action of the point, I'm just going to make a shallow 1/8 inch hole there. I only went in about 1/8 of an inch, that's plenty. That's just to reduce the wedging action. All right. So, it sort of becomes a matter of what is it you're trying to turn at this point. I'm going to leave a square section at each end and then turn just a spindle section in between, and then see if I can split it apart without breaking anything. So, say I'm going to be trimming probably 3/4 of an inch off each end to get rid of the screw holes. And then, let me find a saddle square. So I'll say I'm going to trim it there to get rid of the holes, or get rid of the screws, after I've finished turning it. So the overall length of my spindle, or turned, of my workpiece will be about 17 inches. So if I take 3 inches off of each end, I'll have to leave square. Then I'll have an 11 inch section in the middle, which I will be turning. So I'm going to mark 3 inches and square that line as well. All right. Now there are several different ways that you can make a pommel. And I'm going to actually start back in here just to show a couple of different ways before I cut back to there. For the most part, you want to nick those corners first. So the first thing you want to do is nick the corners. so that hopefully you won't chip them back. And depending on what there are different ways of shaping this a pommel. I'm going to just use a spindle gouge here to start this. Okay, so there I've just rounded, and I could have done that with a skew just as cutting a bead. Just with all this extra wood, I'm going to get rid of some of that. Alright, so if I was going to do it with a skew, it would be just like rolling a bead, and I want my tool rest higher than that for a skew. I gotta have the handle way down to approach the wood that way. Okay, and the idea being that you get a smooth curve instead of a straight line across there. So that's one option for doing a pommel. I'll just clear some of that wood right out of there. Can you see? I can't. Where's my light switch? You're in front of my light switch. Alright. Alright. So that's giving you a rounded corner, or rounded bottom to your pommel. Now there is another feature. There's another way to do it, which is called a lamb's tongue. And I'm not going to try, I don't think you can do that with a skew. I think you have to use a gouge for that. That's where you plunge, make it a cove, and then a round over. Sort of an OG. So you get the ski slope flip right out at the corners. And that's called a lamb's tongue. Or if you want, what I'm going to try here is square. Okay, so you're trying for a square straight across shoulder, which means that you can't start with a V cut. You have to have the skew over so that it's like trimming the end off on the workpiece. Now I'm not sure whether that I introduced that or whether that's still a remnant of the lamb's tongue right out on the corner, so I need to move back a little bit to get. And getting that line square, that almost looks to me as though there's a very slight concavity. But getting it square is not just the easiest thing in the world. But and then normally there'll be a bead right at the base of it if you're doing that. So now I'm going to do that back here at the line. I'm going to start just a little bit outside the line because I'll be going straight in as a V-cut, and then cleaning up some of the waste out here, and then I'll move it back once I've got it started. And you quite often, you have to cut quite a bit deeper than you think. I've still got flat, I haven't even cut completely to the round yet there, so I still have to cut deeper. Okay, so I am down to the round now, and my line looks reasonably straight. So now I'll move it back to the pencil line and cut a bead here at the base of it. I want to check that. I don't think I went straight. No, I'm slightly convex on that line. Okay. I'm going to say that that's done. I did get one little chip right here, but there's not much I can do about that now. So I'm going to take that off the lathe. So I'm going to take those screws out so I don't hit them with my saw. Okay, so I would be better to have a zero clearance fence in there for that, because this 3 inches isn't enough to really give me a good reference against the fence, and the piece kind of wiggled a little bit because there's no support here. As a matter of fact, I don't really feel all that safe doing that way. So I'm going to put another piece of wood behind it. That will support it out here as well. I don't need to cut off any more than I need to, though. Okay, and then you want to use a thin blade. If you use a wood chisel to start the split, you'll dent it on both sides, which, may not be a problem, but depending on what your purposes are. I'm going to use a mallet and a craft knife. If I could find the mallet I had here. There it is. So I want to put the edge of that knife right in the glue line. Might be better not to trim it to length until after you've split it, now that I think about it. And that split quite easily. And I have paper on both sides, so that did split within the thickness of the paper. If I had left that overnight, it might not have split that easily. I'll say that. That split far easier than I expected it to, actually. So now I have 2 pieces identical, which could be on the front of a cabinet, on each side of a door, or whatever. But that's split turning. That's what split turning's all about. Now, you can actually do that, put 4 pieces together into a square, and wind up with quarter rounds when you split them, but for inside corners. But for applied molding type things, that is how you do split turning. You're guaranteed the 2 pieces are going to be identical as long as you get them mounted right on center. They can't be anything except identical. So now it will be just a matter of scraping the glue and paper off the back side, and then they'd be ready to go. So Thank you for watching.